Welcome back. Now, traditional cereals, especially millets and sorghums, have been steadily losing their share of contribution to calories in the region, especially to rice and wheat. Urbanization and women joining working ranks have seen demand for quick to cook foods like rice and ready to eat foods like bread take over. Now, people perception of what is modern has also contributed to shift as new foods, wheat and rice, are associated with being modern, while traditional grains are seen as food of the past and for poor rural people. Now, these grains are way more nutritious than the foods replacing them, and at the same time, they are more suited to our agroecological conditions, being native to this region. Furthermore, they are highly drought resistant, which is important in the face of climate change and can be restored for a long time. Well, the Bring Back Our Traditional Grains to the Dinner Table initiative is trying to address how to bring the dishes to the common man and make them not only affordable but also readily available. So joining me in the studio this afternoon is Deborah A. Cohen, the Senior Natural Scientist. You're very welcome, Deborah.
Thank you for having me.
And once again, Dr. Julius Gatuning, the Senior Research and Policy Advisor. Welcome, Julius. But that is ACET, Africa Center for Economic Transformation.
Yes,
you're very welcome, gentlemen and lady. And we're going to have a chat on this very important topic about millet and other traditional grains. But first of all, before I even go to the important questions that I wanted to ask, Deborah, why millet?
Well,
why have you picked interest in millet especially?
Well, this project is part of the RAND Global Human Progress Initiative, and we're interested in the long term of what's going to happen to the world and agriculture as the climate is changing. And millet is a specially nutritious grain, as you said, native to Uganda, that has a lot of important nutrients, especially iron. And so we think it's very important that people diversify their diet, because a varied diet is a healthy diet, and this is the place where millet is from, and we would like to see more millet grown and eaten here and across the world.
Are we growing more millet, or it's fizzling out? Has it been suffocated out of out of the dinner tables, for instance?
It has.
And why?
It has. If you look at the calorie intake from, like, for example, 1961, you see that millet was the second contributor of calorie, ranked number 2. Now it's gone to, like, I think 11 to 14. I think it has fallen from the top 10. It's no longer one of the key foods. Why? As you have said before, part of it is because people's diets have shifted. We have become more urbanized, and people are now ready to eat food, and also image of food. How people conceive food also matters. So as people have moved and urbanized, and we want to aspire to things that middle class people eat, we want to eat what we think as modern foods. But as Deborah said here, in the face of climate change, actually millet should be seen as a food for the future, because it is the food that is resilient to climate change. It is a food that is very healthy and nutritious, and that's what people are looking for now. Everybody, if you look at middle class, all of us want to eat healthy food, and this is the food that Uganda has that can be rebranded as a superfood, and actually it is seen as a superfood now.
You keep mentioning only Uganda, and yet now we are East African, and you're from Kenya. Why do Kenyans like hard food?
No, the interesting thing, it's like millet was actually the food that millet and sorghum really were the foods that Africans used to eat. Okay. But maize actually came and replaced, especially if you look Kenya, Uganda, what. But why did maize replace? Maize actually replaced millet, because when maize came, because maize is covered, it cannot be eaten by what we call the quelea bird. And the quelea bird is really what can cause devastation. That bird can come and can eat the harvest. So when farmers found something else, that they didn't have to stay in the farm and the children guarding the crop all the time, people shifted diet. So there are challenges, obviously, of growing millet.
Okay.
In terms of labor and in terms of the bird and other things.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Deborah, how then do we solve the problem? How do we approach this challenge of having millet, being, suffocated out and losing ground?
Part of the problem is that the marketing of millet is very limited, and it hasn't been developed into products that people can eat conveniently. So right now, there's basically it's just eaten as a bread or a porridge, or maybe drunk as a beverage. And we think that if we can promote it in other ways, that to show that how it can be incorporated into the diet, so it's tasty, different flavors, in different types of dishes, then the demand will increase, and people can see how tasty and delicious it can be as an everyday part of the meal.
Today we have in some parts of this country where the growing grain like millet, for instance, is a norm. So have you any engagement with these communities? Have you tried to help them to make sure that this the grain is well grown, issues to do with value addition and the like? Yes,
actually this project comes from a study that we had done that looked at millet value chain and sorghum value chain here in Uganda. And the whole idea was to understand what are issues at production level, what are issues in logistics, what are issues in processing, what are issues in marketing, and there are challenges everywhere. When you look at quality, there are problems. The yields are very low, then whatever comes out there has mold, has sometimes sand, has other things. And this all comes back to when you come to processing, then you don't have a product that you can be able to process and create a quality product. So you have challenges all over the value chain. So when we looked at this, we also realized there's potential in terms of people do want nutritious food. People do want to diversify diets. And therefore, we came up with the idea, then how do we bring this food back? And one of those starts changing how people perceive this food. First of all, to tell them it's not traditional food, it's modern food. It's a food of the future. And one thing that we did, we have done a series of competitions to just showcase that you can produce any modern food using millet and food. And even here I have a book here where we have produced over 50 different recipes of millet where you don't even use, you don't do kalo, you don't do kalo, or you don't do porridge. You are doing all kinds of different things.
Well, then, that's very brilliant, Deborah. As we wind up, really, the grain policy here in the country was passed last year, 2015, by government. How then can we use the policy to address issues to do with post-harvest handling? As we speak now, you go down the market, you find people handling grains on the ground, and then people are buying. How can the policy help to
well, I think there has to be some investment in the technology to have better, higher quality processing. But if the demand is there from the middle class, it can then justify the investment in those technologies. The other thing we're trying to do, we have a competition on Sunday. We're also inviting street vendors to take part in the competition, so that it is not just for the middle and upper class, but so everybody can learn to enjoy these traditional grains that have much more nutrition. Especially millet, finger millet is full of iron, so it's a very important grain that more people should be eating on a regular basis.
Thank you very much, Deborah Cohen and Mr. Gatune here from the Africa Center for Economic Transformation, advocating for Uganda that can feed the region and also be a source of high-quality grain. And by the way, that's the mission statement of the Uganda Grain Council.
And we would like to see it in America, because when I go to the store there, I can't find it anywhere.
I'm being warned that we must
need it.
We will invite you for more conversations on that very important topic.